place I'd rather be than in the swamp on Saturday. It was a great time down there. And, boy, it's fun to watch good football and fun to watch your team win. And I saw our friend Chris Doering this weekend, and we welcome him now to the program, SEC Network. He's had a good couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been nice.
And I saw yesterday, I think was it yesterday that you had Napier on the show?
Yeah, yesterday morning he came on with us.
Yeah, and that was good. And what I liked was, you were open and honest with him, and you talked about, tough parts of the job. Chris Doering, for those who don't know, Chris Doering is as Gator as anybody I know. Would you agree with that, Jeff?
Yes.
I mean, this kid grew up in Gainesville.
100%.
Family. I mean, just Gator through and through. And so, but he has a job, and he has to be honest at times, and at all times. And he is, and it sometimes it stings, and it hurts him. It's like a parent. This is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you, son. Whack.
Never did, by the way.
But
always hurt me more.
I like how you talk. I liked your interview with Napier. Is my point, and you were open and honest with him, and he understands. And it's a tough thing because, man, Billy Napier. What percentage of Gator fans, Chris, would you say had Billy Napier 86th here by this year?
Oh, man, I probably would say 75% of them.
Yeah.
And the other 25% was just because they liked him and was a nice guy and hoped beyond hope that he'd be able to turn it around. I mean,
right.
I've never seen anything as remarkable as the turnaround that Florida's gone through. From where they were in September to where they are right here in late November, man, it's just unbelievable.
I might categorize it even more specifically. And, Chris Doering, I'm a 57-year-old man. I've been following sports since I was old enough to know what a box score is. And of all the teams that I've followed through all of the years and in all of the seasons, and whether it's a ball or a stick or a bat, I don't know if one unit of a team I'm following has turned around as completely as this defense. And I know the total yardage may not sing that story, but the defense that allowed more than easy access to Miami and Texas A&M, the two first Power 5 opponents. It doesn't even look like. And by the way, that's with like 5 starters perhaps missing, or at least starter level talent. So I guess it's the young depth and obviously some sort of change in philosophy. The reason that happened, the reason it's the biggest turnarounds, because those kinds of turnarounds don't happen.
Yeah. It is an unbelievable turnaround on defense, and I would argue that it's the lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I mean, Florida was manhandled. We came on here for 2 Mondays in the month of September and just lamented the fact that Florida was getting pushed around on the offensive line and the defensive line, and that they were going to be in for a long season. I remember thinking that, hey, that Vegas win total was 4.5. They're going to have a hard time getting to 4 with the schedule that they have. So somehow, it's not like you can just go in the gym and get stronger in a matter of a couple weeks and then all of a sudden you can compete. Something changed. He talked about getting them to be able to believe in themselves and faith and everything else. All of that's great, but clearly they've changed the mindset. They've changed the scheme to some degree. I can't put my finger on it exactly, but the penetration of the defense up front, the way they get after the quarterback, the way that they disrupt the run game, the way that Florida ran for 120 yards in the first half alone against an Ole Miss defensive front that's one of the best run-stopping defenses in the conference, and they've done that every single week. I mean, going back to Tennessee, and I was trying to remember exactly when it was, but that was kind of the time where we saw, wow, looks a little different, and then they've just been able to build on it. I can't help but think, there's a lot of what ifs this year. I think about what if Ole Miss hadn't lost to Kentucky at home, early in the season. What if South Carolina hadn't gotten screwed by the officials? But what if DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt against Georgia? There's a good chance they may win that game, and I'd love to have seen how competitive they could have been against the next following week against Texas. Yeah. And then, think about what could have happened if Florida just converts the field goal against Tennessee before the end of the half, or just such an interesting path along the way. But I have to think, as painful as it's been probably for Billy Napier, I would probably say that he's embraced all of that to help this team become what they become now. And we came on last week and talked about the LSU win. Maybe is that the turning point? Yeah. I still think we'll have some time to look at this. But, man, you mentioned some of the players. These guys are all freshmen and sophomores that you're seeing making these plays. I mean, like Miles Graham was fantastic on Saturday, especially on those 2 fourth-down stops of J.J. Pegues. I hate to get ahead of myself, but looking at what could be if you can keep all these guys together is pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I don't think you do. I don't think in this day and age you keep everybody together, but you're going to keep a good amount of these kids together because they got a chance and they sense it. And listen, as you know, there are a lot of great college football venues, and I'm biased, but there ain't nothing like the Swamp. And watching those games and being there Saturday and seeing the raw emotion from the fan base and the kids and just, getting the game-sealing interception and running down to the recruits and then you see as things start to change here, they added 3 names yesterday. And so it's just obviously everything's good. You mentioned DJ Lagway. We have to mention him as well. 4-1 as a starter, 4-0 in all the games he finished. He ain't 100%, you can tell, but every week he gives us moments. And now I've learned how incredibly strong he must be as a true freshman with, again, Ole Miss's D-line, Chris, you know the SEC. How good is that D-line? That's like one of the best in the country, right?
Yeah, they're one of the best in the country, and they've gotten after every other quarterback they've played this year. I mean, they're far and away the number 1 sack defense in the conference, and to look at what Florida's offensive line was able to do, to look at what you mentioned, strength. You mentioned how strong DJ Lagway was. Physically strong in the pocket. The way, it reminds me a little of Ben Roethlisberger when he's got dudes hanging on him. He just is able to fight them off. He's able to make throws. He's able to change his arm angle, so he's strong in that way. How about the strength that it takes to have that hamstring injury, know you're not 100%, and go out there and play the way he has the last couple weeks with one arm basically tied behind your back?
Yeah.
And to think about what the offense can be in the future with him healthy, with him involved in the quarterback run game, which is a vital part of this offense, what he can do when his completion percentage improves. I mean, really, only completing about half of his passes in the last couple ball games, but still, completing the ones when he needs to, and the accuracy and knowing where to go with the football. He has such a high ceiling, and I cannot think, man, it just reminds me so much of Tim Tebow with the hype coming out and what he's done so far. And the way that the players seem to respond to him, this entire team seems to feed off his leadership. And this is a guy that was playing high school football just 12 months ago.
Florida's going to play their way into what will be an odd spot for every player on that roster. None have been in the position they're going to be in going into next season, and that's realistic expectation. Not hopeful of turning it around, not this potential or that, based on what it looks like they're going to do to finish this season, and the youth of the roster, the improvement. They're going to be expectations of cracking that top 12 and earning a playoff spot next year. Am I getting ahead of the story?
Well, you're ahead of the story, but I'm scared to death that Florida's going to go up and lay an egg in Tallahassee, and that's just, I think, from what we've been through the last couple of years. I don't think that happens, but that's in the back of my mind. So finish this season up. I mean, you could win 8 games if you can win this ball game and go to a decent bowl game and win a bowl game. Like what that could do for a springboard into 2025. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the schedule. It's basically the same schedule in the SEC as what you had this season with the home and away flipping. So it's still going to be incredibly challenging within this league. But I think you have what you mentioned, hope. Hope starts with a quarterback, and you get DJ Lagway, who seems as Gator and Coach Napier as you could possibly be. You get him back. Everybody, all the recruits that we're talking about want to come play because they want to play with DJ Lagway. The guys on this team want to stay around because they want to play with DJ Lagway. There had been talk about Trey Wilson wanting to hit the portal. He didn't look like a portal guy on Saturday.
No.
Hopefully you can get him back. And how about the ability, like this staff's ability to identify talent in the transfer portal? We've talked about that a lot, but Elijah Badger, Jim DK, look at Trequez Bridges, a guy that's played safety and corner for them.
They've been good.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. George Gumbs, I mean, these guys are really good at finding folks that not only look like they'll fit in the scheme that the offenses and defenses are running, but feel like good locker room guys. I mean, doesn't it feel like a good team? Like they just have a kind of a passion for playing for one another, a passion for playing in the Swamp. And you mentioned the venue. Like I love the Swamp. I grew up in the Swamp. That was probably the first time that I've really lamented not being there, having to sit in the studio and
it's
watch.
Been a while.
Yeah.
Perfect weather, just everything looked like it was idyllic, and just the old Swamp was back. And so, why would these folks not want to come be part of that next year? Credit to the fans too; they showed up this year through miserable games, and to continue to show up and support this team. It's a collective team effort between players, coaches, and fans this season for sure.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here. Thanks so much for checking out our 1010XL Florida Gators page. If you're looking for more Florida content, subscribe now. But if you're looking for some professional football, NFL content, head over to our 1010XL Jaguars page.